Nicholls, groundsman, currently working at our church football club.
And what previous clubs or membership clubs have you worked at before?
Previously started out in groundsmanship at Whitehaven AFC Football Club where I grew up. That led to a job at Birmingham City Football Club, which I spent around 7 years there, and then I moved on to a position working for Wasps and at the Recall for a company called Greenfields.
So obviously you've worked some high profile pitches like St Andrews and the Wasps. What's it like sorting out that compared to Alf Church?
The different challenges, I guess, because there's training every day at the training ground where I used to work at Birmingham City. So the preparation that goes into that is daily repair work compared to working at a stadium perhaps that you've got a little bit more time. But the difference in terms of maybe working for football for Birmingham City to at the Recall Arena was potentially the multi-sports use, whereas the turnaround for the games was quite quick. You could have a game on a Saturday and a game the next day on a Sunday, so it was getting the posts down, but the rugby turning the pitch in from a football pitch into a rugby pitch. At the minute, the challenges for at Alva Church Football Club are obviously the weather's one, which has been extremely bad this season, as well as obviously limited resources compared to professional sports clubs and limited drainage as well, machinery. So I guess that all in all, the two separate kind of challenges really. One's top end, one's low end, but we've still all got a job to do in terms of being a groundsman to get the games on, training sessions, everything like that.
And you mentioned the weather there, obviously it's been a strong winter. What do you try and do to make sure the pitch is playable for winter, if you can?
I mean, with limited drainage at the minute at Alva Church, it's very difficult. As you can see, it's on a little bit of a slope, so that does help in terms of getting the games on. All we can do is obviously, it's weather pendant, forever looking at the weather, seeing when we can do the repair work, preparation work for matches. A lot of divoting is involved in these sort of pitches because the makeup of the soil is clay and soil-based pitches, so they're quite heavy going. So getting fixtures on is really difficult. But in terms of it's divoting, things like that, sheeting areas that are in high wear areas to try and relieve as much damage as possible, to be honest. As well as aeration and things like that that can be carried out. So it has been a challenging year, but we've managed to get to the other side near enough.
And with the pitch, like you mentioned, with soil being top heavy, a few non-league clubs started invested in 3G pitches. What are the pros and cons of those pitches?
I mean, obviously the pros are that the games are going to go ahead no matter what, really, other than if there's snow on the synthetic carpet or the frozen, potential flooding obviously, but that's got to be quite horrendous. There is a lot of pros for them. My personal opinion, I like looking after grass pitches. It's a good challenge, but the way the football and winters are going, and without breaks and the FA stepping in to maybe change fixtures and things like that, it's becoming more likely that teams are going to go to 3Gs if they can get grants or 4G pitches, that is.
So could you see 3G pitches perhaps being used in like the professional game, like the Championship?
I mean, they already are in terms of, UEFA Champions League games, things like that. World Cup matches are being hosted on them. I think it was the under-17s tournament a few years back. A lot of obviously professional footballers don't like to play and train on them. That's just from a personal opinion of what I've gathered in terms of the joints, things like that. There's a lot of psychology goes into that with sports science and things like that. But as from a standard to League 1, League 2 conference downwards, I can see a lot of other teams trying to go that way in terms of maybe even training facilities as well, because it is becoming really hard now to get get training on it, never mind matches. So that's kind of where we're at, really.
And what's the difference between working as groundsman on 3G pitch compared to grass?
I mean, obviously, the difference is obviously the carpet's obviously rubber crumb infill or different materials. There's a lot of brushing involved, distributing the rubber crumb out of the surface, trying to relieve compaction on the 4G so that your moulds can go in. Whereas with grass, it's kind of more difficult to grow grass in maybe a stadium environment as to opposed to maybe grassroots where you've got the challenges of getting games on because of limited drainage.
And did you always want to be a groundsman growing up? Or
I didn't until I was about 18-year-old, until I left school and I was at a limb to what to do, and I just got into it and enjoyed it, working outdoors, and I think it just took off from there, and I kind of found something that I was potentially half good at, so I enjoy it anyways. It's being outdoors and there's a lot of challenges, and that's kind of what groundsman's job's all about, really.
you mentioned being quite good at it. Obviously, you're praised here and you've won an award before. How glad is it to see like all the gratitude you get for?
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to get gratitude, but obviously we've still got a job to do as ground staff from all levels, from professional down to, you know, the volunteer groundsman. So I think everyone really should get recognition for it and the credit for it this season. Not what the pitch will look like, it's more for what the game, you know, getting the games going ahead has been a massive challenge. So I think for every other groundsman in the country this season, it's been hard. I think it's a credit to them for getting the games on as and when they can, really.
And is it good to see groundsmen like the Leicester City groundsman of late picked up a lot of interest for his pitch designs as for Southampton? So is it good to see them finally get him a praise? Because obviously it's up to them whether the game's on.
I mean, it's not only the patterns and things like that, and the chaps at Leicester and Southampton and Stoke have all done, you know, pattern designs, which is, you know, it's unbelievable, really. They've got the staff and levels to do that. They're really good at it. The new ruling's coming now that they do the patterns, which I think is a shame, because I think it made everyone realise what groundsmen were then, when Leicester City started doing the patterns, and I think that was a big impact on groundsmen, really, for little things like that started noticing what groundsmen did as well. Other than just cutting the pitch, they actually went out there, done patterns, the pitch was still pristine, played exactly the same, so I don't see any problems really with it, to be honest.
And just going back to you working at Birmingham City and with Wasps, are there any like bizarre or funny stories you had from your time there?
Oh, there's been a few. Not really. I mean, the weather that we've had, I think I was at Birmingham when I first came around 7 years ago, and we, like this season's been with the snow, we actually managed to clear the snow off one of the pitches in the morning for training at 11 o'clock. We got the pitch was covered in snow, we removed all the snow. We went down for a coffee break at 10:30 after being in at 6 o'clock in the morning, ready for training to just set up, and sod's law, the snow come back down again. So it looked like we hadn't done anything, but in terms of that, we did. So we got a bit of an earful for that, because we had to go back up and start removing all the snow again. So they seen the light side of it, because they knew that, you know, there was about 5 foot of snow on the side of the pitch that we got rid of.
So do you reckon professional clubs are harder when stuff like that happens?
I think it is, because it's a results-based business, and, you know, players get a lot of money. The training facilities have got to be safe to play on. The pitches, that's our job. So we're kind of, in a way, looking after the players' safety as well. So we've got to make sure that we're looking after them. You know, there could be a £10 million player, £20 million player, but ultimately we've got to get the surfaces ready for training, so that professional clubs can get the 3 points, and it's exactly the same at a lower level. We're doing our best to do the pitch to a high standard to get the games on so that the team can play safely and get 3 points at the end of the day.
And just have you ever been told how a certain way to do a pitch, like the crazy gang told their groundsmen to leave certain parts like really long so they couldn't play, or?
I mean, not here, because the manager, the chairman, the players kind of just appreciate the fact that you're doing your best with what limited resources we've got at obviously grassroots level, so they appreciate that. And obviously in terms of the way they play football, it kind of suits them in a way, so he wants it kind of the best it can be every game, so that suits me really. But obviously we have had situations before in the past with pitches being underwater, so that's kind of, it's hard to kind of bridge the gap with Premiership clubs, things like that